I think, yeah, I think
All right, I'll set up the.
we're both oh, yeah. No, I think,
Oh my gosh.
Right now, it was pretty quick.
Sunday morning.
There's a few times of the same thing. Other than the first one.
Okay.
Yes. Mine is, not the one next to me. Yeah.
Happens are like very drastic. I'm not sure how
I feel like that is important. What the situation is. We have two. So is Papa going to play? After the offertory music, we're going to have a simple meditation. I'll do it after 11 times meditation. Okay? You are saying Dennis will not play. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
well, actually, we got Stan.
I will address those when I
Yeah, he was in the middle, yeah. And then we got Wayne, who's our youngest cat. Yeah, it's Stan, Nikita, and Wayne Gretzky. That was on me.
just say our operator. And then, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I heard that.
But yeah, we pick him up and he just
It is, yeah.
This is literally
Don't worry, I'm going to be selling that when she comes back.
Oh, okay.
Oh no.
Where did Alex go? Is it loud? Is the guitar? That's how loud it's going to be? Is that loud enough? Can you hear it? I mean, you can hear it, but that's... All right. All right. Are we ready to start then, Alex? Gina, are we ready? Good morning. Please join us in our opening hymn. Some of you that have been members and friends for a while might remember we used to, in the beginning of service, start with From All That Dwell Below the Skies, and that's what we're going to be singing today, accompanied by Dennis. Ready? From all that dwell below the skies, let faith and hope with love arise. Let beauty, truth, and good be sung in every land by every tongue. Let's do that one more time to give everyone an opportunity to sing if they please. Go ahead. From all that dwell below the skies, Let faith and hope with love arise. Let beauty, truth, and good be sung in every land, every tongue. There we go. Welcome to the Unitarian Church of Hinsdale. My name is Paula Sijit Dvorak, and my pronouns are she, her. I am a member of the worship team and your worship leader for today. Our minister, the Reverend Beth Johnson, Dr. Beth Johnson, is taking a few weeks of summer leave time and will be back leading some services in August. During her time off, Reverend Beth is organizing Unitarian Universalists to join the August 1st Fierce Urgency of Now National Mobilization at the 60th anniversary of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King's March on Marquette Park during the Chicago Freedom Summer. Please consider joining folks from the congregation and beyond for this multi-faith mobilization. You can register at fierceurgency.now or contact Reverend Beth for more information. So this is something, again, that we're doing together as a group. So if you are interested, especially if you're new, I encourage you just to speak to another church member who can make sure that you have the contact information that you need to get set up with that. We also have a number of special collections going currently at the moment. One is for our new carpet in the living room. If you walk into the church, you can see why we need that. And then the other special collection is for the minister's discretionary fund. And this is something that we normally fund at Christmas Eve service during that collection. But because of a great need this year, we're asking people to donate more to that. So if you would like to write a check, you can put minister's discretionary fund in the memo. And if you would like to donate cash, you would just need to probably let an usher know that that's what that donation is for. And if you have any questions, can the ushers and the greeters raise their hands so we know who we can speak to? Excellent. So I am going to start with our opening words by Walt Whitman. I do not ask the wounded person how he feels. I myself become the wounded person.
Good morning.
Morning.
Welcome to this place of peace, justice, and hope. In this Unitarian Universalist congregation, we affirm no matter who you are, who you love, or where you are on your journey, you are welcome here. For those of us joining online, we are so glad you're with us. If you are visiting with us today, we invite you to sign our visitor's book. Please see an usher to do so. If you'd like to join us for refreshments downstairs, that will be after the service. Also, members and friends, to help folks connect, please wear your name tags with your pronoun stickers. If you need a new name tag, please see an usher. I am Ben Dvorak. My pronouns are he, him. I am pleased to be with you today as worship associate. There's a lot going on around the church, and you can read all about it in News and Notes, which arrives in your inbox every Friday. If you would like to receive news and notes, please see an usher to sign up. May each of you know that you are welcome here in this house of peace, and may our worship and fellowship this morning touch your heart, mind, and spirit. We'll now light the chalice. Where the Streets Are Holy by Craig Larland. We light this chalice for the sacred that walks unshowed through the alleyways, that leans against brick walls with smoke on its breath, that hums in neon flicker and bus exhaust. This flame burns for the holiness found in dirty hands, in cracked voices, in those moments of sudden stillness, between sirens and footsteps. Not every sanctuary has walls. Some are made of shadow and asphalt. Some are stitched together from longing, kindness, and sheer survival. We light this flame to remember divinity does not always wear white. Sometimes it wears denim. Sometimes it looks like a stranger holding the door just a moment longer. It burns to show us what is real.
We come into this space carrying both joy and pain, asking the container of community to hold all we share in empathy and compassion. If you have a joy or concern, please feel free to share it out loud now, and Ben will drop a stone for you. And I'll repeat it so people online can hear as well.
William Deal.
We would like to keep William Deal in our thoughts.
Jerry Shipton.
Jerry Shipton, yes. Karen Janowski. I would like everyone to keep my friend in your thoughts and the family of one of her former students. One of her students, you may have seen the news article, she drowned this week. She was 7 years old. They found her. So just keeping her family and then my friend as well in your thoughts. She taught her in preschool, I believe.
Please join us for the offertory words. This church is made up of all of us. It is what we learn together, the work we do together, the fun we have together. It is what we share with one another, with the people around us, and with all the world. Yep.
Let's take a breath together. If it feels comfortable, go ahead and take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. But if not, just draw your attention to your breathing. If that doesn't feel good for you, then just draw attention to a part of your body, your feet on the ground, your hands in your lap. Just bring your attention to this moment. We are going to do an extended meditation today because it is a loving kindness meditation. Loving kindness meditations have a long history in Buddhism, and they are a way for us to expand our connection to the world around us. So if you feel comfortable closing your eyes, you can do that. You can leave them open and just gaze gently forward. I want you to think about someone that you love very, very much. Someone who is very easy to send positive, loving thoughts to. I want you to try to picture this person or think of the sound of their voice. Or maybe just embody what it feels like to be with them. And as you do that, I want you to think this. Send this to them. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be safe from inner and outer dangers. May you be well in body and mind. May you be at ease and happy. And now, I ask you to think of yourself, because often, isn't it a little easier to think of someone that we love and send them loving compassion than it is to offer that to ourselves? And as you think of yourself, I want you to think these words. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be safe from inner and outer dangers. May I be well in body and mind. May I be at ease and happy. Now I want you to picture someone that you feel maybe kind of neutral about. Someone that you can picture in your mind, but you don't necessarily have feelings associated with them. Maybe a store clerk that you see on a regular basis, or an acquaintance at work. And I want you to picture them in your mind and think these thoughts. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be safe from inner and outer dangers. May you be well in body and mind. May you be at ease and happy. Now this next one is a little tricky. I'm not gonna lie. I want you to think about someone that you really don't like. Someone who makes your life more difficult. Someone who might make others' lives more difficult. If it's too hard to picture them in your mind, that's okay. Just hold the thought of them and think these thoughts. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be safe from inner and outer dangers. May you be well in body and mind. May you be at ease and happy. And now I want you to think of your awareness spreading out and encompassing the entire world. So like circles out to encompass the globe. And to think about the people and the creatures and the plants and all the things that we have on Earth. And, maybe you're a very space-minded person and you expand it out with the belief that maybe there's something else out there. And as you hold this in your heart, I want you to repeat these thoughts. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be safe from inner and outer dangers. May you be well in body and mind. May you be at ease and happy. And as we take a few deep breaths or pay attention to our breathing or our feet grounded on the ground or our hands in our lap, I want you to slowly bring your attention back to this moment here. You can open your eyes when you're ready. Notice the birds chirping, chasing each other around the yard. Notice the soft breeze that makes it just bearable to be outside this morning. We were quite conflicted on whether or not to be outside, but I think we made the right choice. It's pretty nice. And as you bring your attention back to this moment, I want you to notice how it feels to have sent those thoughts out into the universe. It might feel a little bit difficult, especially the person that you hate, or the person that you don't like, or the person that makes your life more difficult, right? Or it might feel easy, especially for the people that you love or the world. It might feel especially hard for yourself, right? So that's information too. We're now going to sing a hymn together, which was one of my mother's favorites. It's called The Spirit of Life, and the words are on your order of service. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the service of the passion. Open the wind, rise in the sea. together once more. That is one of my favorite hymns. In fact, for the longest time, and it's not there anymore, but the boys shared a room, and somehow we had gotten a printed out, like, copy of those lyrics, and we had them just posted on the door to the boys' room. And I don't even know how that happened. But it was just such a poignant reminder of what we were doing right as parents, giving them roots to keep them grounded, but also wings to set them free. And hopefully that's what we're doing. For those of you that don't know, this is my son, Ben, and he is going to be a sophomore at Michigan Tech in the fall, so he'll only be around for a couple more weeks. And then I also did not acknowledge the people who are making this service possible, so I want to do that. It's kind of a family affair today. So my older son, Alex, who will be a senior at North Central in Naperville this year, is our tech guy. Actually, I like to call him the producer. I think that's kind of more what he does. I also really want to extend thank you to Jean Schaefer, who does so much around here, but on Sundays is mainly doing tech work. And so thank you, Jean. And also, Jean has been super busy this summer, doing a bunch of stuff back behind the scenes at the church, including, helping with the carpet stuff. He does like the home and garden part of our portfolio for circle coordinators. So can we give him a round of applause for all that he's been doing and working on? He had to deal with the fridges not working and the freezer not working. It's been a bit of a mess, and he has done it graciously and generally without complaint every once in a while. And then I also want to acknowledge, this is my father, in case you didn't notice the first half of my hyphenated name, Dennis, and he loves to provide music for services as well. So that's what he's doing today. And also a shout out to my husband, Tim, who basically just makes this all possible by making sure that he can run around behind the scenes and be here to support us all. So I want to make sure that we acknowledge that. I'm also realizing I should have made this bigger when I typed it out, but that's okay. People love entertainment about people trapped on deserted islands and the drama that might unfold there. So I'm sure you can think of several movies that you know off the top of your head, right? Castaway is about someone alone on an island. There was recently a couple of very dark comedies about people being stuck on island. The Triangle of Sadness, if anyone's seen that one. Or what was the newest one called with Rachel McAdams? She's stuck with her boss on the island. I can't remember, but it just came out. Again, a dark comedy kind of played for laughs and a little bit of social commentary. And then we have, more serious things that also have been set on islands. And probably the biggest thing that people think of is The Lord of the Flies, right? Which I believe was a movie at some point, and then also obviously is a book that many people are required to read. But one of my favorite shows from a long while ago now, so it's probably not something that everybody is familiar with, is the show Lost.
Yeah.
Has anyone seen that? So, pretty basic premise to begin with. A plane crashes on an island. There's, a bunch of people, and they're trying to figure out what they're going to do. And one of the main protagonists that comes forward, his name is Jack. And in the beginning of the whole event, right, the first season where things are still kind of straightforward, it doesn't get too messy yet, he says to everyone, if we can't live together, we're going to die alone. And that line, even though it's a simple one, right, always strikes me because it's true for life in general, right? And sorry that I'm getting emotional just thinking about all the things that implies, right? And so the metaphor of an island, it's not really about being stuck on a deserted island, right? It could literally be anywhere. It's about our isolation as humans, the fact that we think of them as separate from civilization, right? As somehow separate from the structures and the expectations that we have set up. And as John Donne famously wrote, no man is an island entire of itself. Every man is a piece of a continent, a part of the main. If a clod be washed away by the sea, Europe is the less, as well as if a promontory were, as well as if a manor of my friend or of my own were. Any man's death diminishes me, because I am involved in mankind, and therefore never send to know for whom the bell tolls, it tolls for thee. Yet another quote that I said to the boys a lot when they were younger, which is a bit dark, but I think also important. Do not ask for whom the bell tolls, it tolls for thee. So many of us have read the novel The Lord of the Flies. Who's read it, or at least has a general idea of what it's about? It was written in 1951 by William Golding, and he wanted to imagine what life would be like for a group of boys marooned alone on a desert island. Concerningly, this man was a teacher, and I'll get into why that was a bit concerning. And basically, the novel, I can't recommend reading it, at least not with a very critical eye. It's very dark, and it's very negative about human nature, and I don't feel like it's reflective of human nature, and I'm going to get into why in a second. But that gives you the idea. Basically, these boys, they start out with, good intentions and devolve into chaos. The three of them end up dying. When they show up, they're, I think the word they use in the book is savages, right? They've fallen back into savagery. This author's idea of what society was like, prior to civilization, right? And so there's a couple of interesting things. We kind of consider it, or some people do, it's a classic of 20th century literature, to be representative of what would happen in that situation, right? It's kind of taught that way, or at least it used to be. But the thing of it is Golding was not a great person. He beat his children, which, all right, it was the 1950s. One could argue that happened. He was also a Nazi sympathizer. At some point in his life, he said, "I have always understood the Nazis because I am that sort by nature." So why are we looking to this as a beacon of human nature, right? If that's who he said he was, is that who we want to be? So why do we allow our view of human nature to be manipulated by someone who seemed to lack a basic feature of what makes us humans? Empathy is a central core of the human condition. Our ability to feel what others are feeling, to take their perspective, and postulate why they are feeling that way is deeply rooted in evolutionary biology. Charles Darwin postulated that human beings were capable of observing other humans and mimicking their behaviors, which had obvious benefits for the advancement of societies. But also that humans were capable to understand other people's suffering and seek to end it, and that this also had benefits for society. Contrary to the popular catchphrase, survival of the fittest, which I could do a whole sermon on why that is not what he meant in the way that we perceive it, Darwin stated that as man gradually advances in intellectual power, his sympathies, and he meant empathies, there's some issues with translation, become more tender and widely diffused, so as to extend to men of all races and to the lower animals. So will the standard of morality rise higher and higher. Scholars widely agree that when Darwin stated sympathy in the above passage, he meant what we think of as empathy. Our ability to feel what other humans are feeling, understand those feelings, and seek to alleviate negative emotions through altruism when possible. Empathy is what makes connection possible, and connection is what makes cooperation possible. A quick side note, today I am speaking to the human experience. Empathy is not exclusively a human trait. We know from studies that monkeys and other primates have it. We know that dogs and domestic animals do as well. And we postulate that many other animals are capable of it. In fact, we do know that mice have it, and particularly in regards to fear. I am simply focusing on the human experience of empathy as it is relevant to our current society. And why is this conversation relevant? Some may argue that it is obvious that empathy is a good thing. Some might even say that empathy and compassion for others is an end to itself and the goal of human existence. But there are groups of people in the corporate world, in religious fundamentalism, and in academia that label empathy a weakness, a scourge on human existence, and seek to make people feel foolish for trying to understand where other people are coming from, especially if they perceive those people as different. They sell a false empathy constrained by others having the same background, experience, religious beliefs, appearance. I could go on and on. But if one looks at the scientific literature and understands what empathy truly does for humans, there is a realization that Charles Darwin was right. When Darwin postulated that we imitate other human beings, understand their feelings, and that we seek to avoid their suffering when possible, he was speaking about what we now call mirror neurons. Mirror neurons are specialized brain cells that facilitate the connection between individuals. No person is an island. We are all connected in a myriad of ways. Now, diversity in our brains is both natural and a gift. People do not experience other people's emotions in the same way. And that diversity, as evolutionary theory teaches us, is a gift. There are different types of empathy. Affective empathy is experiencing another's emotions, actually feeling it, many times having an embodied reaction, such as crying. Cognitive empathy is seeing, excuse me, I lost my place, because it's too small. See, I told you. Cognitive empathy is seeing their perspective, knowing why they feel the way they do. Human beings are born with a wide variety of different strengths and weaknesses when it comes to these different types of empathy. And neurodiversity is not about lack. I look at empathy like math. We have an inherent understanding of mathematical concepts, some more than others. Babies seem to have a basic understanding of things like counting, and most children will pick up mathematical concepts as they go along developmentally. Some brains struggle with math and need more rote instruction. Some brains understand math on a deeper abstract level, and others are able to memorize 1,000,000 digits of pi. There is no moral judgment on these things, nor should they be. But we teach math in schools because we know it is important. We should also be teaching about empathy, emotional intelligence, and the importance of these concepts to the advancement of our society. So back to the Lord of the Flies. Is what Golding created in his fictional, probably disturbed mind reality? We have a real-life example from the 1960s. Has anyone heard of this? It's such a cool story. Yeah? 6 boys were marooned on the island of Atta in the Pacific Ocean for more than a year. They were students from a boarding school in Tonga who got bored, decided to steal a boat, and ended up on the island. So given that auspicious beginning, did they devolve into chaos and bloodshed like our English author postulated? Nope. Together they built a little society with shelter, food. Eventually one of them fashioned an instrument, I think it was a guitar, to entertain the others. They kept a signal fire going the entire time they were on the island, which, that speaks to me, right? Like, every moment of every day, someone was there tending that fire. And they figured it out. Nobody hurt anybody else. Nobody killed anybody else, right? Which is what happened in Lord of the Flies. When one of them broke a leg, they tended to him until he was healed. When they had conflict, they said they just walked away for a little while. They took a break. Empathy, our ability to feel with other people, is the glue that holds society together, increasing cooperation and cohesion within groups. And it seems, as human society has flourished, we have expanded the circle of who we empathize with. We look at other perspectives, even if they are different than our own. So why do some people in power seem hell-bent on making empathy appear to be a weakness? I think we know the answer. It is because our greatest strength. It is because it is our greatest strength. What narratives do they push? Reality shows like Survivor, and this is no judgment, I watch my share of reality shows, that are set up to show the worst of human nature by artificially creating stressful conditions that reduce contestants' capacity to show compassion to each other and work together. They incentivize individual achievement over group cooperation. Television shows and movies are focused on the worst of the worst in society and our imaginations, much like the Lord of the Flies. The news shows constant danger everywhere, even when we know statistically that such things are relatively rare. And we also know pro-social ways to prevent crimes such as universal income. The message is, how can you have empathy for those people? Elon Musk, and I hate to say his name, but we need to say it, called it toxic or suicidal empathy. There is no such thing. There is no such thing. That is a made-up term. So to give you a little bit of a background, which perhaps I should have started with, but maybe it's helpful to have it now. I'm a mental health therapist. I'm actually an LCPC, a licensed clinical professional counselor. So I don't call myself an expert, but I practice empathy every single day as part of what I do. And as you can see from my tears, I am a very effectively empathetic person. I cry at the smallest little thing. If someone else is crying, I cry at commercials that like aren't even sad, like they're just happy commercials where good things happen. And Tim's like, "Are you crying?" I'm like, "Yeah, I am. Just be quiet." And then I also, as part of my job, I teach perspective taking empathy, right? So the little part when I was talking about neurodiversity, I want to get into that a little bit more because there's a lot of things out there about this idea that people, particularly on the autistic spectrum or with other neurodiverse kind of profiles, don't have empathy. And that is a lie. That is not true. There are differences, like I said, in affective empathy and cognitive empathy. And those are kind of different things in different parts of our brain, and they work in different ways. And a lot of the research shows that many people, autistic people, actually have a lot of affective empathy, so much so that it overwhelms their ability to have cognitive empathy at times. So we don't necessarily see, but they are feeling what others are feeling. Again, sometimes so strongly that they cannot act on it, and sometimes they don't know and haven't been taught, how to kind of express that. Again, so we can teach these things and help people have a basic of understanding of what emotional intelligence looks like. And when I say emotional intelligence, that includes empathy, but it also includes other things like compassion, which is empathy in action, right? What we do, how we help other people, and just our understanding of emotions in general. Empathy and empathy in action, compassion and cooperation are the only things that will save our society. Of course, those in power don't want that. Oligarchs, fascists. Ooh, interestingly, my iPad corrected fascists to racists, which, okay, that includes too, but I meant to say fascists. Dictators. They all fall when people realize the power of their collective voice in action. They fall when people realize they have more in common, that they feel the same, that they are connected by some web that allows us to see other humans as just that, human. Empathy is not weakness. It is not cursory to the human experience. It is why they would care so much about preventing it, right? Why would you care to prevent something that you perceived as a weakness or you thought foolish people did, right? They frame it as negative, weak, toxic, suicidal. According to science, it is the very glue that holds us together. So what do? We practice empathy and we teach empathy. As I said, it is somewhat inherent to the human experience, but we do have different capacities and strengths and weaknesses relative to empathy. We know how to increase it. We teach about emotions, how they feel in our bodies, about perspective taking, how others feel when we do things. We encourage children to read fiction, just not Lord of the Flies. Fiction is known to increase empathy. Book banning, anyone? We talk freely about emotions. We show affection. One thing we know, we cry at the pulpit. One thing we know about mirror neurons is that human beings learn through behavior modeling. So we model for the next generation the power of empathy, compassion, and cooperation. And in service of that, because I cannot speak to our future, I will invite Ben up to do that.
Hello, I'm going to be kind of improvising this. I have a few notes, but that's why I'm not going to be as quickly spoken, but I do find I often get my ideas out in a way that is more representative of how I feel at the moment rather than how I felt last week when I wrote the script. So,
I wrote mine this morning.
well, yeah, but I also tend to cry less if I'm not. I feel like if I'm reading a script, that's when I'll cry. But if I'm thinking about what I'm saying next, it tends to work out. So, I'm going to be talking about the concept of a future in which we have prioritized empathy, and what does that society truly look like over our current world, which often seems to glorify those who can act without thought of the effects on others. I think a lot of times people are being told you need to not be concerned what that other person thinks because just do what you need to do. And when that's the case, when it comes to judgment, that is fine. But when it comes to harm, there is nothing truly worse than that. But a society which values compassion will tell others to look to those around you for guidance and assistance, and it will be beneficial because those around you will also be looking to give guidance and assistance. When you can be yourself and not fear judgment, the input of others is enormously useful. And something that I was doing when I was kind of researching for this sermon was looking at what does that future look like? And one of the things I found that was interesting was the concept of solar punk. Has anyone heard of that? So it's a compound word, solar, in reference to mainly solar panels as a form of renewable energy, and punk, which for a lot of people, everyone here has heard of the concept of punk at least as a word, sometimes used in a derogatory sense, but it is often is a very pessimistic worldview. A punk is a person who is against, they often don't see the future as being, good or prosperous. But it's more beneficial to think of punk as something that opposes the current. Also, I'm sorry for saying P so much and causing the speaker to do that. But it is something that opposes the mainstream arguments about the world. And following the Cold War and the concept that, now that we've defeated the evils of the Soviet Union and socialism, capitalism and this system will propel us into the future, and we will not, it was the end of history. It was as described. And so during that time, being against that, it was saying, no, the future isn't looking great. Because the truth is it was. We knew about climate change and all of these, things that could occur in the future, and, wealth disparity. But now, those problems have become impossible to ignore. And so instead, the mainstream has begun focusing on a hopelessness. The idea of telling you, well, it's too late, accept your AI overlords, accept that you have to put in and do all of this, be the, either you're going to be in the overclass or you're going to be in the underclass, and accept that. And so instead, what becomes punk is saying, no, we can have a good future that is bright. And that is what solar punk represents. Solar punk is currently mostly just kind of an aesthetic concept, but it follows very certain specific worldviews that give us a framework for building a possible society for the future. And so this society focuses on renewables and localized collective industry and farming and utilizing automation in a way that instead of taking jobs and supporting a permanent ruling class, instead allows for dispersion of massive amounts of resources that were previously unavailable. And it does this in a way that does not strip the world of all that is beautiful, and instead does so in a way that focuses on the beauty. It looks at things like urban agriculture in such a way that you can, build these, localized, farming and utilizing, uh, more natural methods and organics, and not, there's the trendy organics that we see, at the supermarket or whatever, but the actual beneficial and well-researched resources that we do have available. Because these technologies are not impossible, but they are not beneficial to the current social order. And so instead what we must do is create a prioritization of these things, and we do that independently. We have to build these systems alongside the ones that currently exist, so that once they are ready, you can just begin waning off these other systems. Because whether they want you to know or not, the other systems of society rely on all of us. They need people to show up to whatever a grueling job, or someone to run the systems. And the reality is, unless we choose consciously to build new systems founded on empathy, we will struggle. But I think that we have evolved to build those systems. We know what they should look like. That's why there's so much upheaval right now. Every day you see so much happening, and some of it's, blown out of proportion, but it's not happening because people are giving up. It's happening because people recognize when things are wrong. They don't always know the correct action to take, but they know it is because what has currently been built is not built around this empathy we evolved for, and instead has been built around a twisted concept of the strongest surviving. And so I would, I don't think I have time in this service to make sure I'm not going completely over, explain every action you could take. But, things like showing up to your local communities like this church and building stuff here, as well as, of course, reading more books, developing your own empathy and understanding it. Because if you have empathy but you don't fully understand what it means, you're going to have a hard time making progress. But understanding your empathy is very, very vital to using it, because it's a tool. Everything we evolved is in the form of a tool, and so you have to be able to know how the tool functions to use it. And so just, developing empathy, showing up for community, and looking for futures that you want to see built, and recognizing that what is built now is not what needs to be here permanently. And it doesn't mean, we have to burn it all down. Maybe we just go build something else and then slowly let it decay. That's what nature does. When there's a forest fire that is not, the absolutely massive ones caused by global warming, the entire forest is not destroyed. It is simply reduced to a form that is easier to construct with. The fungus in the ground will slowly rebuild into new carbon molecules that are then absorbed by new plants, which are then eaten by herbivores, which are then recycled into a new, web. And we need to look at how we've built our society and make sure that can still happen in a way that does not require us, that does not end with us burning the entire forest to reducing it to something that we cannot survive. Because I think understanding that, I think a lot of people are under the assumption that the environmentalists and the empathy people who think about our world and, the grass and trees, they're just being soft and they like that too much. But it's because we are using our tool of empathy to do something that will keep us alive and surviving. Because an unsustainable future is not one we will see throughout the far future. And if we want to reach the far future, we will have to do so with empathy. And so that's why I think the last thing I want to talk about is something called the dark forest hypothesis, which is a supposed solution to why we don't see aliens. And the theory is that if you were in a dark forest, would you want to start a fire to announce yourself? Because then something could get you. And so that's what they think the universe is no one's out there, no one's saying anything, because everyone's too scared that the minute they do, everyone's going to attack them, basically. But if you were actually in a dark forest, and you were a human, you would light that fire, because you would want another human to find you. Those kids on the island, they kept a fire going so someone would find them. And I think that is what we want to see. We want a society in the future that is not afraid to light that fire, so that when something comes for us, they are not coming because they are violent or because they want to see us destroyed. They are coming because they want to help, and they want to expand their view of the world and their view of empathy. Because I believe any society that can reach that point will have done so through empathy. And if we cannot reach that point, it will be because we fail to use our tool of empathy. I think that's everything I want to say, so thank you.
Yeah, I just never learned my lesson to not speak in the same service as Ben, because I am continually amazed. Yeah.
Never work with children. No,
Don't work with children. He's not a child anymore. My father's saying is never work with children or animals. So one of the things that Ben brought up during what he was speaking about is the idea of organic planting and creating things. And on a very, very small scale for ourselves, we have some microgreens available. My dad grows them over in the RE building at church. They are never touched by human hands, as he likes to say. And so there is no possibility that they have any contamination from any of the things that are going around in the produce that we have. So if you are really craving greens and haven't been able to visit like a local farmer's market, you are welcome to just take them. They are free. We don't want to ruin his amateur status by paying him for them. So feel free to come over and grab microgreens. There's bags for them as well. And this is just one small way. It's the tiniest little thing. But it's one small way that we add to the good and to that positive future. So what we're going to do now is my dad has always wanted to play this song, Let's Work Together by Canned Heat. Does anyone know this one? Okay. Did we do it? Okay. All right. So the words are on the page. It's going to be what it's going to be. We're just going to do it. Okay? Let's go.
2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3.
Together we stand, divided we fall. Come on, people, now let's get on the ball and work together. Come on, let's work together. We will stand, every boy, girl, woman, and man.
1, 2, 3, 4.
People think no wrong, yes, they sometimes will. And the road you travel stays uphill. Let's work together. Come on, let's work together. Together we stand every boy, girl, woman, and man.
1, 2, 3, 4.
2 or 3 hours, what does it matter now? What was the buzz? Let's work together. Come on, let's work together. Let's try the chorus together one more time. Ready? Do the beginning and then we'll count in. Ready? Together. Come on, let's work together. Now, people, because together we will stand, every boy, girl, woman, and a man. All right, so your assignment is to listen to that song. So the next time we sing it, you can all sing it.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of its truth, the warmth of this community, nor the fire of our commitment. These we carry in our hearts and share with all the world.
All right. So, I don't know why I did this. I have closing words, but I don't have any closing words, and I think this is why. For those of you who remember Ed Searle, who is now a minister, what's the word? Emeritus? I can't pronounce things. Emeritus. I learned how to speak. I learned words from reading, which means I cannot pronounce things. And Ed passed away a few years ago, and we still have, there's a portrait of him in the living room in the church if you want to see. But he used to end services with the words, "May you sometimes find the world so beautiful. You want it to be more so, more often, for more persons." Amen and blessed be.
Oh, and please feel free to join us afterwards for refreshments downstairs.
Lost it.
You lost it?
First 3 words.
Play whatever you want then.
No.
What?
Give me the first 3 words.
Does anyone know the first 3 words of the Beatles with a little help from my friends?
I got it.
This is ironic.
What would you say?
I feel like you're already playing.
Okay.
Yeah.